Hello everyone, welcome to this session. So in this lecture we are going to discuss about the Vijayanagar and the Bahmani kingdoms. So there was Vijayanagar empire that established after the Turkish invasions. We will discuss about it and also about the Bahmani kingdoms. What are these kingdoms actually? So the topics that we are going to cover in this particular lecture are the disintegration of the Tughlaq Empire and what were the causes behind it. Tughlaq Empire declined and what had led to the disintegration of it. We will discuss about its causes. Then we will discuss about the rise of Vijayanagar and the Bahmani kingdoms, how these new kingdoms emerged in the Indian subcontinent. Then we will specifically discuss about the Vijayanagar Empire, about the case study of Krishnadev Rai, who was the ruler in the Vijayanagar Empire. Then Bahmani Kingdom and Mahmud Gawan, who was the ruler in the Bahmani Kingdom. Then conflict between Vijayanagar and the Bahmani Kingdom, what led towards the conflict between the two empires or the two kingdoms. Then what led towards the Battle of Talikota. So these are the topics that we are going to cover in this particular lecture. So let's begin. So firstly, let's discuss about the disintegration of Tughlaq Empire and the causes behind it. So a plague broke out which killed two-thirds of the soldier in his army. So during that era, a very severe disease spread all over the world called as plague, and it was incurable and it resulted in the killing of this particular disease killed two-thirds of the soldiers in the army of Tughlaq. Different regions of the empire were getting out of hand because of this particular disease, because army was very much decreased because of the particular disease, that is plague, and that resulted in the loss of empire from different regions of the country. Muhammad bin Tughlaq made some policy against non-Muslims also. So this also became one reason because many rebel groups, many rebellions were formed because of such policies made by Muhammad bin Tughlaq. You must have heard about the term Tughlaqi Farman. So this was the Tughlaqi Farman that made policies against the non-Muslims, that were the Hindus prevailing in the Indian subcontinent. Muhammad bin Tughlaq wished to expand his kingdom, and in doing so he had to face opposition from all the directions, because there were the people who were living in the majority in Indian subcontinent were non-Muslims, and because his policies were completely against the non-Muslims, this has resulted in a lot of opposition from all the directions in the country. The process of suppressing these rebellions, he drained his resources and wore out of his army. So because he was suffering a lot of opposition from all the direction, in order to suppress this opposition or these rebellions that were formed in his territory, he drained all of his wealth, all of his treasury, in order to maintain his army, and that completely broken his economy. The harsh policies of Muhammad bin Tughlaq created discontent among the nobles, the religious leaders, and the army as well. He also banned some practices which the ulemas considered as un-Islamic to please them. So he banned certain kind of practices that were practiced in the Islamic culture. He banned certain practices which, according to the ulemas are the highest, or you can say the highest authority among the priests of the Muslim culture. So the practices that were banned by Muhammad bin Tughlaq specifically, which were the part of the Islamic culture, the ulemas considered such practices to be un-Islamic to please them. He imposed a tax called jizya, and the jizya tax was imposed, or the jizya tax was imposed on the non-Muslims also. So all these reasons collectively became the reason for the disintegration of the Tughlaq Empire. Now, how after the disintegration of the Tughlaq Empire, the Vijayanagar and the Bahmani kingdoms took birth. So the decline of Sultanate of Delhi gave birth to two mighty states in South India. So the Delhi Sultanate was ruling in the northern India and till the central part of the Indian subcontinent. But the Deccan region or the southern region of the India was still left from the rule of the Delhi Sultanate. And after the decline of the Delhi Sultanate, two mighty states in South India, the Bahmani kingdom of Gulbarg and the Vijayanagar Empire, took birth. So the Bahmanis were Muslim rulers and the rulers of Vijayanagar were Hindus. So two mighty kingdoms took birth in the southern part of India, and it was divided into two groups, the Vijayanagar Empire and the Bahmani Empire. The Bahmani were the Muslims, ruled by the Muslims, and the Vijayanagar was ruled by the Hindus. Now, let's discuss about the Vijayanagar Empire. So, the founder of Vijayanagar Empire were Harihara and the Bukka Rai. So, these are the people who founded the Vijayanagar Empire. The revenue officers of the Kaktiya ruler Pratap Rudradev II of Warangal. Okay, so these are the people who considered to be as the founder of the Vijayanagar Empire. They founded the dynasty in 1336 with the capital as Vijayanagar on the banks of Tungabhadra river with the help of Saint Vidyaranya. So now what we are seeing here is that the Vijayanagar Empire was formed or founded in 1336 AD. It was the same time after the Tughlaq Empire and when the Sayyid dynasty and afterward the Lodi dynasty were ruling over the Indian subcontinent, and Sayyid dynasty was ruling over the Delhi Sultanate, but it was considered as a very weak dynasty of Delhi Sultanate, and we have seen Vijayanagar and the Bahmani kingdom rising in the southern part of India. And Vijayanagar was founded and made as the dynasty, and the capital was made Vijayanagar. There is a city called as Vijayanagar in the southern part of the country on the banks of Tungabhadra river. Okay, so the dynasty was founded, the empire was made, the capital was made as Vijayanagar, and it was situated on the banks of Tungabhadra river. And how it was established? With the help of a saint called as Vidyaranya. So the Vijayanagar kingdom lasted for 230 years and produced 4 dynasties. So now the Vijayanagar Empire have given a lot of time, a lot of period for their dynasties, and from the Vijayanagar Empire 4 kinds of dynasties took birth. These dynasties were Sangama that ruled from 1336 to 1485, then Saluva from 1485 to 1505, then Tuluva 1505 to 1565, and finally the Aravidu from 1565 to 1672. So these were the 4 dynasties of the Vijayanagar Empire. Krishna Dev Raya. Now, who was Krishna Dev Raya? Considered to be a very great ruler in the Vijayanagar Empire. Krishna Dev Raya, whose reign was lasted from 1509 to 1529, belonged to the Tuluva dynasty. So, the third dynasty came under the rule of Krishna Dev Raya. The Italian traveler Nicolent visited his The Italian traveler Niccolo Conte visited his court also. So, an Italian traveler came to India and he visited the court of Krishnadev Rai as well. So, Krishnadev Rai is known as Andhra Bhoj. He wrote Usha Parinayam and Amukta Malyar. So, these were the works of Krishnadev Rai. Being the ruler also, he contributed in the literature and he also came to be known as Andhra Bhoj. Allasani Pedanna, a Telugu poet, was a courtier of Krishnadev Rai. He is considered as the Andhra Kavita Pitahama. Okay? Who Allasani Pedanna is considered as Andhra Kavita Pitahama, the grandfather of the Telugu poetry. Okay? He was the courtier in Krishnadev Rai's court. Ashtadiggajas was the famous scholastic assembly in the court of Krishnadev Rai. So Krishnadev Rai established a scholastic assembly in his court full of scholars. These scholars were 8 in number, from which the word Ashtadiggas are taken. So these Ashtadiggas, Asht means 8 and Diggajas means a people who are highly scholars. So this assembly was formed of 8 people in the Krishnadev Rai's court. Now let's discuss about the Krishnadev Rai in more detail. So Krishnadev Rai of the Tuluva dynasty was the most famous king of the Vijayanagar Empire. Among the 4 dynasties, he was the king in Tuluva dynasty and he was the most famous king of all the 4 dynasties of Vijayanagar Empire. So according to Domingo Pais, a Portuguese traveler, Krishnadev Rai was the most feared and perfect king there could possibly be. So a Portuguese traveler came to India called as Domingo Pais. He called Krishnadev Rai as the perfect king there could possibly be. Okay, means there could be no other king as perfect as that of Krishnadev Rai. Now let's discuss about the conquest done by Krishnadev Rai. Bengal in the east. He conquered over Bengal in the east part of eastern part of India. He conquered Shiv Samudram in 1510 AD and Raichur in 1512 AD also. Then in 1523 AD, he captured the areas of Odisha and Warangal also. His empire extended from the river Krishna in the north to river Kaveri in the south. So now you can see the empire of Krishnadev Rai was very much extended in the whole Indian subcontinent. The Arabian Sea in the west to Bay of Bengal in the east. So covering all the directions, east, west, north and south. In north from river Krishna to south till river Kaveri, and from this side Arabian Sea, and from there Bay of Bengal. So he extended his empire almost in all the areas of India. Now, what were his various contributions? So, an able administrator, and that is why he is called as the most perfect king also. So, he was a very able administrator. His administration was so perfect. He built large tanks and canals for irrigation, because at that time agriculture was playing a major role in maintaining the economy of any kingdom. So, in order to promote such activities, he promoted irrigation by building very large tanks and canals. He developed the naval power, understanding the vital role of overseas trade. He understand the power of navy. Okay, that in today's time we consider as navy, and for trading purposes merchant navy is used. So he understood this power of navy, and that played a very vital role in expanding his trade overseas also. He maintained friendly relations with the Portuguese and Arab traders also by expanding his overseas trade. He increased the revenue of his government. He patronized art and architecture, because he himself very much inclined towards the art and literature, so he also patronized it. It was during his period the Vijayanagar Empire reached its zenith of glory. During the period of Krishnadev Rai, the Vijayanagar Empire was flourished a lot, was progressing a lot, and reached the zenith at the topmost level of its glory. Krishnadev Rai was a great scholar, as he has already established Ashtadiggajas in his court. Now, what are these Ashtadiggajas? A group of 8 scholars adorned his court, and they were, now these 8 scholars were Allasani Pedanna. As we have discussed about him, that he was considered as the grandfather of the Telugu poetry. He was the author of Manu Charitram. He was also known as Andhra Kavita Pitahama. That is the grandfather of the Telugu poetry, Allasani Pedanna, one of the Ashtadiggajas. Then Nandi Thimanna, the author of Parijat Paharanam. Okay, then next is Madhyagiri Malanna, then Dhurjati, then Ayalraju Rambhadra Kavi, then Pingali Surana, Ram Raja Bhushan, and Tenali Rama Krishna. So these were the 8 scholars, great scholars, or generally referred as the Ashtadiggajs of Krishnadev Rai's court or the Vijayanagar Empire. These were the 8 scholars who were present as the courtiers in the court of Krishnadev Rai. You must have heard about Tenali Rama a lot, stories related to Krishnadev Rai and Tenali Rama. There are various shows also made upon them. So Tenali Rama Krishna was one of the Ashtadiggajs in the court of Krishnadev Rai. Now that was all about the Vijayanagar Empire. Now let's discuss about the Bahmani Kingdom. So Bahmani Kingdom was founded by Zafar Khan, or called as Hassan also, who took the title of Alauddin Bahman Shah. Okay, so he was the founder of the Bahmani Kingdom. He selected Gulbarg as its capital. Gulbarg was made as the capital, and then Gulbarg was renamed, and he renamed it as Ahsanabad. There were total 18 sultans, and they ruled from 1347 to 1527. So in the Bahmani Kingdom, total 18 rulers came. Muhammad Gawan was the famous minister of the Bahmani Kingdom. He was one of the major rulers of the Bahmani Kingdom, Muhammad Gawan. The last prince of Bahmani Kingdom was Kalimullah. So by 1527, the Bahmani Kingdom was split up into 5 independent principalities. They have split into 5 principalities. The first, Adil Shahis of Bijapur. Okay, the area of Bijapur, Ahmednagar, Berar, and Golconda. So Adil Shahis of Bijapur, founder was Yusuf Adil Shah, who ruled from 1489 to 90. Then next was the Nizam Shahis of Ahmednagar. Okay, the Nizams. The founder was Malik Ahmad, who ruled in 1499. Then the Imad Shahis of Berar. Okay, the founder was Fatehullah Imad Shati. Then the Qutub Shahi kingdom of Golconda. There is Golconda fort present in the Bahmani kingdom, and the Qutub Shahi kingdom was of Golconda, whose founder was Qutub Shah. And finally, the Barid Shahis of Bidar, founded by Amir Ali Barid in 1527. So these were the 5 principalities that split up the Bahmani kingdom. Muhammad Adil Shah built Gol Gumbaz, a tomb with world's second largest dome at Bijapur. So Gol Gumbaz is present in Bijapur. Still it is there, and it was built by Muhammad Adil Shah in Bijapur. Muhammad Shah built the city of Hyderabad also. Okay. The present day Hyderabad used to be known as Bhagyanagar also. It was built by Muhammad Shah. Berar stayed out of the battle of Talikota. Now, there was a battle of Talikota took place between Vijayanagar Empire and the Bahmani kingdom. We will discuss about it in our lecture further. But Berar was one of the 5 principalities that completely stayed out of this particular battle of Talikota. Now, let's discuss about Mahmud Gawan, a very important minister or a ruler in the Bahmani kingdom. So, Mahmud Gawan was the prime minister or the wazir of the Bahmani king Muhammad Shah III. He was the wazir or the most important or the prime minister of that time. The kingdom reached the height of its glory under the Mahmud Gawan. Okay, Bahmani kingdom has seen its zenith during the time period of Muhammad Gawan. As in Vijayanagar, it was done in the period of Krishnadev Rai. In Bahmani, it was happened in the time of Mahmud Gawan. He was a successful military general also. The boundaries of the kingdom extended under him. Okay, the Bahmani kingdom expanded its boundaries during the reign of Mahmud Gawan. He captured the strategic port of Goa from the Vijayanagar kingdom also. So, the port of Goa, which was a very important port for sea trading, it was captured by the Bahmani kingdom under the reign of Mahmud Gawan. He also raided and plundered Kanchipuram, a place in southern India. He was a capable administrator as he strengthened the position of the king. Okay, being the prime minister, the military general, he strengthened his position by being a such great administrator, a able administrator, and he then became the king. The power of the nobles was curbed. He promoted agricultural activities and improved the land revenue system. So basically, he was a very great king of the Bahmani kingdom, a very great administrator like that of Krishnadev Rai. Now, there were 2 kingdoms, Vijayanagar kingdom and the Bahmani kingdom in the southern part of India. So it was very casual of that time that conflict will arise between the 2 kingdoms. Also, Bahmani kingdom during the time of Mahmud Gawan, they have captured the seaport of Goa, which was under the control of Vijayanagar. This also resulted in the conflict between Vijayanagar and the Bahmani kingdom. Now we will discuss about this conflict between both the kingdoms. So both the kingdoms wanted to control the fertile Raichur Doab, the region between Krishna and Tungabhadra rivers. So there was always a fight between the regions that are present near the river or the river valleys, because the land of that place is very fertile. That helps a lot in the agricultural activities. So in south also there was Krishna and the Tungabhadra rivers. The area near them or the area between them was very much fertile, and there was a fight between both the kingdoms to establish their rule over that land because of its wealth and economic resources. Both the kingdoms wanted access to the Godavari basin also, which had numerous ports through which trade was carried out with foreign countries. Now, Godavari basin was having a lot of ports there, or a lot of seaports there, through which trading was done, through which naval forces were sent. So, this was also the reason of conflict between both the kingdoms. Both wanted to capture over that Godavari basin. Both the kingdoms wanted to control the diamond mines of Golconda. So there were some places that were very rich in its heritage, in its culture, in its wealth, and there were a lot of economic resources. The land was very fertile. Some places used to serve greatly as being the point of sea trading, and like in Golconda, there were diamond mines. So just because in order to gain control over the resources, to gain control over the economy, both the kingdoms were having different kinds of conflicts. This resulted in Battle of Talikota. So the Battle of Talikota was fought between the Vijayanagar forces and alliances of Bijapur, Ahmednagar and Golconda. the main reason behind the conflict. But now, what were the reasons behind it? To take control of fertile Rajput because of its wealth and economic resources. So, the conflict that we have just discussed, that resulted in the battle between the Vijayanagar and the kingdoms of and the Bahmani and some principalities of Bahmani kingdom, as we have discussed that only 4 principalities took part in the battle of Talikota. So the reasons were to capture over Raichur Doab, to access Godavari basin, and through which trade is carried out with foreign countries, and to control the fertile Konkan coast as well. As a result of Battle of Talikota, city of Vijayanagar was completely destroyed and its king Rama Rai was captured and executed. So this happened after Krishna Dev Rai. It didn't happen during the reign of Krishna Dev Rai. And in the Battle of Talikota, the Bahmani kingdom got victory over the Vijayanagar Empire, and the present ruling king at that time during the Battle of Talikota, that was Rama Rai, he was captured and executed by the Bahmani kingdom rulers. Although the Vijayanagar Empire continued for almost 100 years after this battle also, it is no longer enjoyed its earlier power and position. Vijayanagar Empire established was remain at its power for 100 years after this particular battle, but still the position and the power that they were enjoying before this battle, that position and power was still not in the prevalence after this battle. So this conflict between Vijayanagar and Bahmani kingdom led towards the battle of Talikota, that also became the reason of the decline of the Vijayanagar empire. So in this particular lecture, we have discussed everything about the Vijayanagar empire and the Bahmani kingdom, about Krishna Dev Rai of Vijayanagar empire, about Mahmud Gawan of the Bahmani kingdom. Both were the great rulers of both the kingdoms. And we have also discussed about the conflicts between the both kingdoms, Vijayanagar and Bahmani, and what led towards the battle of Talikota. So for now, this is it in this lecture. Thank you so much for your patience listening. Take care and bye-bye.